All right, welcome back. This is a exciting one here. The waiting for this to come in. I've got some stuff set up here because this is an extension of the last video on what I think are the better Victorinox options for, I think, a modern 2022 dad, call it, whatever you want to call it, I think, for around the house. And the reason I've got these all out are these are the modern options, at least that I own. There may be some more, but the modern options that I own that have the combined multi-tool, taking the can opener and the screwdriver. This is a can opener screwdriver or cap lifter, however you want to, I guess that's the cap lifter. And combining the big screwdriver, wire stripper, cap lifter into one tool that can kind of do a can opener job for most of us that don't need a can opener in 2022. So the reason I think that this is really interesting, and I'll just apologize to all the Victorinox lovers for the last video, because I was saying like Yow Man, I think, or Yo Man, and a lot of people corrected me that it's Yeoman, so my bad on that. That's I surely should have looked that up, but I think I opened that box up off the cuff, and yeah, hadn't really heard someone say it the right way, so I wasn't prepped for the video, so my apologies. But yeah, you get I'm not a complete expert here, I'm just sort of an enthusiast, and wanted to bring today the other unicorn. So the Yeoman was in the last video. In fact, I have it right here. It's not a current knife. The knives that are out here are current knives that you could buy from any knife store or Amazon, whatever. So you have the Bantam Alox, the Bantam. So that's a blade and a knife on both of those. I'm sorry, a blade and the multi-tool, or the combo tool, I think you call it. The waiter, which adds in the corkscrew on the back, and the compact, which adds in scissors, and the, oh, I just forgot the name of this, but the extended scales, whatever the term is for that, it'll come back to me in a minute here. And a few more multi-tools and the little pin and a few other things here. What's the other thing in there? Yeah, just the scissors and the combo tool. So those are the four I'm at least readily aware of. There are probably some others out there that have that combined tool. And then I had gotten this Yeoman, which added the one thing I really liked, which is having the screwdriver like in the, let me just clean it off really quickly, having it here in the, between the liners instead of on the back. So you get the, corkscrew. It's not a huge important tool to me, but I do think this screwdriver works better here in that format than this one, just because it's hard to get into certain situations. You can bend it that way to try and get like a little more, but or even this way, I guess, but it gives you a lot of torque, but it doesn't give you a lot of accessibility when you're trying to get that into a tight corner or whatever. So this is a Tinker, by the way, here. So Super Tinker has scissors, Tinker no scissors, and the Tinker's a little thicker for what it is, but it has a screwdriver here, so it's like my go-to. If you see this on it, that's my go-to. And I've been carrying 2-layer. I hadn't switched to the Yeoman because I talked to the guy at Rebel Restorations that built this, and I did the research, looked up, and tried to link him. But there's a great guy that got me that built me a Scientist. So I'm going to take this off the camera so I don't expose my info and just open it up over here. So sorry for that, but this is an unboxing. And what I did was I talked to him about doing 2 what we'll call custom Scientists. So the Scientist is the other unicorn, and for me it's the unicorn I want more, because I'm a 2-layer preferred. Well, for any EDC carry, I prefer a 2-layer Victorinox versus a 3-layer. I can do a 3-layer, but it's just a little much for me. The thickness on both directions, you just end up with a chunk of metal and plastic in your pocket. And I think this is a really cool tool. I love it. And but for me, there's an optimized. There are times where I'd carry this depending on what I'm doing that day. But I was able to work with this gentleman at Rebel Restorations. I'll have to talk to him and see if he's good with sharing his name. But he built me 2 Scientists, so 2 custom Scientists. And they're different in that one is a more authentic Scientist, For those of you that know these, maybe you'll be able to pick out some of the things that make it more authentic Scientist. And one of them is like, if they were to make it today, what would it look like? So let's pop these open and see what we got. So this would be the more authentic Scientist. It has the era-specific or era-correct screwdriver. Looks really clean. It might have been used, but I think that might be like a new screwdriver. Looks really clean, so that's super cool. And then this is a era correct magnifying glass because it has the gray. The new magnifying glasses on new knives are, and I have a grab it, an Explorer right here. They're clear like this. This is the modern Victorinox magnifying glass versus the one he did here. So this one's meant to be a very authentic one. You'll see other things that are era correct. Like for instance, if you look at a modern compact, get focused here. Sorry, having a little issue on the focus there. This does not want to play ball. How it says Officer Swiss. So take a look at the large blade on this one, which looks very clean. And you'll see that it has a little different look there. So that's the era correct Officer Swiss from an original Scientist. So this one looks great. This guy's been doing, like the Yeoman looked really great. This one looks really great. He's been doing great work on these for me. Some of you may have bought from him as well. So I'm just gonna get my eyes around the camera and look at it. It looks like an almost new blade. Like just a couple little scuffs here and there indicating that it was used, but very good condition. And everything else on here looks super brand new. So I'm very psyched. And the term for that is the plus scale. Sorry about the memory lapse there, but the Yeoman, the compact, and now what is a plus scale? Good question for somebody that don't know. It has a pen in there, which is kind of cool. I'm not going to go into this super deep today. Just going to take a look at the work that we were able to get here. But again, Bantam Alox, Wader, compact, Tinker, Yeoman, the 3-layer Yeoman. Let's maybe do that way. Actually, you know what? This might be a better way to show these. No, let's leave them like that. One thing you'll also notice is that some of these are 84 millimeter and some of them are 91, right? So 84, I think that's 84. It might be a little different because it's a Lox. I can't remember. But I think it's 84, and then 91 millimeter, 91 millimeter, 91 millimeter. So keep that in mind. And then this would fall in the 91 millimeter as well. So it's gonna be a little bigger than the like compact size. 2-layer Scientist. It looks like you bought like a brand new knife almost. I'm super excited. This is the one that's also like era correct using some used parts. So let's throw that right there. And then this second one that he put together, I was like, hey, what would it look like if you used all brand new parts and, you know, built something as if Victorinox actually offered this knife now. So he was cool enough to customize one for me and build a Scientist that uses all modern parts, which is definitely less authentic. You'll see a little difference here. Let me show you on the screwdriver. A little less authentic. See the difference in the sort of the thickness here. Get some focus. See the thickness here is like a thicker stock, and at the top here it's a little thicker and stuff. Just gonna get focused on that. And what's cool about the old one is actually that this is a little sharper, like in between a number 1 and a number 2, I'd say, size. The number 2 is like a little thick at the top, so you can't use it for some like the kids' toys and stuff. I got a 3-year-old. That thickness, like some of those little tiny screws you can't get to, that one, the old one, you actually can. So this I was gonna hang on to and just kind of, you know, keep nice, because it's kind of, even though it's not an original Scientist, it's kind of what a Scientist was meant to be. And I wanted that in the collection until I find a real one. There's one on eBay right now for like $4.75 or something like that, which I'm not willing to pay for a, you know, what used to be like probably a $25 or $30 knife. So that's there. You get the modern, get that? You get the modern magnifying glass, the modern screwdriver that you would see on, I believe, if I were to pull out the screwdriver for the Explorer, this should be the same. Let's see. That's probably what that's sourced from, is from an Explorer or something similar to it, right? Let's put this over here. And then on the knife, you will not see the, I don't know what the exact symbol is, but that's the modern Officer Swiss, as opposed to here. Let's kind of compare these two main large blades. Again, something I should have researched ahead of time. To me, that looks like an umbrella and a plus, but I'm sure that that emblem might be something else. But anyways, that's era correct, and this is modern. So some pretty big differences there. In fact, let me just pull everything out and you can kind of look at them side by side, and I'll move some of these other knives out of here. And we'll just look at the Rebel knives. So this is the Yeoman. All era correct again. This is the era incorrect Scientist. See if I can do this without hurting myself here. So you're gonna get that. Those are the two Scientists next to each other. I don't know if it's better for me to turn it over and do the sort of the emblem. Okay, sorry, bear with me here. And then this is the Explorer, so I'll get rid of that. So that's the modern one. So these are the 3 knives I've got from Rebel. The big difference of the Yeoman, again, is just adding in the scissors there, which to me, you know, let's take a look at these two side by side, because these are kind of the more era specific or era correct versions. Like that extra 20, I guess it's probably about 20-25% in thickness. Yeah, this is, I don't need that for the scissors. I think the large blade can play a lot of the role of what the scissors do, for me at least. Everyone's, you know, got different uses. If you use your scissors all day because you need a scissors type, you know, utility, then you're just in a different, you know, situation than I am. But I do use scissors once in a while, but like usually if I need scissors, then this little scissors isn't really what I need, to be honest. Usually if I need that, I can use my knife or even this tool potentially to play the part of what a scissors would do. So let's see how Rebel did. I'm gonna come around the camera and just look with my bare eyes a little bit here. I think he's using like brand new scales, which is super cool. I do have, actually, some of you have probably seen these, some titanium scales that I've been needing to potentially put on a knife. So these are pretty cool. Just got them, I don't know, from like China or something. They're probably like an eBay, or I think I got them on eBay. So I could definitely see adding, you know, these to the non-era correct and kind of making a more robust, like titanium scaled knife. I think that could be really, oh, you know what, I didn't get the plus version, so I'd probably have to go grab a plus version or something. But making it kind of tougher. For those of you that have dropped these a few times, you can break them. I don't know, for me it's actually kind of cool though. The lightweight feels great, and I don't know, I just really appreciate the original red scales. the guy at Rebel Restorations asked me if I wanted plus scales in black or blue, and I was tempted to do one of these in a different color, but I was like, you know what? They don't really make the Scientist anymore, and I want one that's I want both of these to be as much as possible like the original Scientist, you know, or how they would do it today if it was a red. I just love the red on Victorinox. I don't know, it's authentic feeling, and you know what you're dealing with when it's in the red. The other colors look really good, honestly, to me. I appreciate them and like them, but I don't know, maybe it's because my original knife from when I was young was red, and also because I actually had, a little bit of envy because I had this nylon version, and so like these versions a lot of my friends had in like Cub Scouts and stuff, and I always kind of wanted that version because although I loved the fact that this locked out, it kind of bothered me that I didn't have something like the rest of the guys. I was the only one that had this, you know, nylon material, which is actually a great material. It's super rugged and it's got a little grip to it, and it held up super well despite all the craziness of me as a kid beating the heck out of it, frankly. But yeah, I've always just loved this look. So I went with red across the board here, and I'm super excited to have these. You know, these are the knives I was talking about in the first video that because of this combined tool, you save, you know, you really save an entire, I don't know if you want to call it a channel, but a set of, you know, thickness from between two liners. And because these are liner knives, you know, you're adding a lot of thickness when you have an extra like layer is the right term. So for the, you know, for the efficiency and the sake of EDC and everyday carry, for me, it's really nice to have that combo tool, and this is a way of getting it. What are these going to cost you? Right now, he's charging $100 for these, which I think is a killer deal. I don't know how you could source this set of tools and do the work and labor and everything. So you can find this guy on eBay. I think I put his name in the last video. I'll put it in this one too. It's Tay something or something Tay. But the guy at Rebel Restorations, he's just doing a good job. He's based out of, I think, Livermore, California. And I'm really, really pleased. Again, the first one I was really pleased with. And I, you know, basically contacted him and said, hey, here's what I'm looking for. I saw he had another Scientist on eBay, but it looked like it was a little worn. And I was like, I'd be very interested in these two configurations. Or, you know what I think I told him is I just want a Scientist. And he came back and said, would you want this or this? And I was like, you know what? I want both. So I actually just was like, you know what? I actually want both of them. Let's do it. And I could see like kind of making this my user because it's using the modern parts. In that one, although it's not an authentic Scientist, you know, you're using 100% original parts, just you're rebuilding it outside the Victorinox factory when you have someone do this for you. And, you know, I don't know. To me, that's 100% experience-wise. You know in the back of your mind it's not an original, and I'd love an original, but I'm also, if I buy an original, for me, the way my mind works, and like, you know, if I had unlimited funds, I'd probably go buy an original for $475 and use it like a badass, but I'm not like that. I'm like, if I get an original, I want to keep it nice and like preserve it because it's hard to get and because it's rare at this point. It to me is not something that you should just go use and abuse, and everyone's different. Some people want to collect these, some people want to use them. I'm also into like RC cars, and there are a lot of people that have the old Tamiya RC cars still in box, never assembled. And to me, that's just so freaking cool. And if I got one of those, I could not, like, some people buy them and assemble them to like get that feeling of assembling an old Tamiya from when they were a kid. And I just could not do it. There's no way I'd be like, dude, that's when like, you know, the golden age of Tamiyas with the Hornet and the Frog and, you know, some of those OG cars. If I found one of those original in box, not assembled, I would not use it. And similarly with, you know, these knives, I specifically love the idea of getting these from him because I can use this without feeling as guilty. It's expensive. It's $100, right? Like, you can buy the compact for 50. You can buy a Tinker for, I don't know, 27, I think, or something, 25. You can get them for crazy cheap on eBay or on Amazon. So this is way more expensive, but if it's the thing that you're going to carry like all the time, and I carry, you know, a nice fixed blade size, maybe I didn't even bring it on this video, but these days I'm carrying a Demco fixed blade, or not a fixed blade rather, but a folding knife. And like this is my go-to everyday carry, but I could actually have that knife and this knife, one in each pocket. You know, put my phone in my you know, my sweatshirt pocket or something like that, and have both of these, and it really does everything I would need to do throughout the day. Like if I have one of these on me, there are very few things I would actually need to go to my toolbox for. Today I did a repair on my dryer. Yeah, I brought my tool bag up for sure. I'm not gonna work on my dryer with this and hand turn all those screws, right? I want my power drill, or power screwdriver rather. But for like an EDC, this is it. You save a layer, right? You're getting a 2-layer knife that has very useful tools. And let's actually like call out a few of these things, right? So this magnifying glass, I think I showed it on the last video too, is really like, it's actually very effective. I think I can show you there that it's like, it really works. It's kind of hard to do through the camera and stuff, but you can really see that there, right? You can see things like that little slit on my finger, you can't see it now, or barely, right? But in here, it's like very obvious. So really effective magnifying glass. You get tweezers, which, you know, I got a 3-year-old, so splinters are a daily affair. You got a pen if you need it. I'm not like, the plus scales are not my big thing. One of the things you can use to further work on the splinters, let me get this focused because you're probably getting driven crazy because I'm not focusing here, is there's a pin in the plus scales. So you can actually use that pin to go with the tweezers to like get a real tricky splinter out. Like you can definitely do a full splinter removal here. You got this if you wear glasses. You got the extra tool with the little tiny screwdriver, so you don't really need that extra little screwdriver at the end of the can opener. Yeah, and you're saving a layer there. Or you go with a yeoman. Sorry, I did it again. I said yeoman. A yeoman, and you get the scissors if you really want it. But this to me, for around the house, is like the perfect Victorinox. And that is what it's going to be used for. That is going to be my everyday carry multi-tool, and that I'm going to hang on to and think about potentially what I do with it. I haven't quite decided what to do with this one yet, to be honest. I just wanted one that was very authentic so I could have it in hand. Eventually, I'd like to find a real scientist to add into the collection and a real yeoman, but it's always hard to find these knives. They're very rare. People want blood for them when they do pop up for sale. So, and there's a reason for it, which is that they're freaking better and what Victorinox should be making as an option. I'm not saying that everyone wants this knife. There are a lot of people that want other features and other knives, and like this is not for everyone. You might be putting your knife like in a glove compartment, in which case you don't really care about saving one layer, right? It doesn't matter that much. You're gonna handle it while you're using it, and that's not that big a deal. But to have one less layer for an everyday carry, that's where this gets really interesting to me, and why it stands out as, you know, a better option than anything that's offered right now in the market. You know, this one to me was the closest thing I could find, because you get the screwdriver on the back. The Tinker is pretty darn good, or a Super Tinker if you go to 3-layer. This, yeah, I'll put this here. So that's why that's on there right now. I actually ended up switching from the compact because it was driving me crazy that I didn't have, the compact is great, but it doesn't have a Phillips screwdriver on it. So you can kind of like manipulate this to like play a Phillips screwdriver role by putting this into it, kind of like, let's see if I have something here that's like that. Yeah, like if you look at the Phillips screwdriver from the Leatherman Squirt, where is it here? Right, I don't know if you've ever seen these, but there are a bunch of knives or multi-tools that are trying to save space and thickness, and they use like basically half of a Phillips, and it actually works pretty damn good. I've used this very successfully on a lot of my kids' toys and stuff when I need something that's just handy, and it works really well. And this is actually a very small, compact tool. I don't love this overall. The blade kind of sucks. And there are a lot of other things. It's amazing that you do have this nice little pliers in such a small package. The squirt is definitely a considerable multi-tool. So I have it. Kind of go back and forth a little bit between this and like a Scientist as the best, like for most situations, can take care of most problems. It depends what you do with your time and effort and stuff. Like right now, this camera is being held by a tripod, and there are a few things here that you might use a multi-tool on or whatever. But anyway, before I get rambling too much, Rebel Restorations, great job on these Scientists, just like you did on the Yeoman. Super stoked to have them. Victorinox, if somehow this message gets to you, please bring these 3 back. Like, there are just so many people that would really appreciate that. Bring these 3 back. I bet there's a lot of people that also appreciate the ability to add a saw to this. People that would appreciate the ability to add the fish scaler. Like, there's so many things that this can do for a lot of people. This format, you can just add layers on top of this that make a much more efficient tool for the modern use case, right? We're not in the Swiss Army. I appreciate the authenticity of this tool, but most of us don't need it today. And for that reason, this is just such an appealing format. And I really hope that, either people find Rebel Restorations and pay the piper and, get one like this because I'm super impressed and recommend them. Or that Victorinox does something and brings these back, and then worst case, I have a regrettable overspend on some knives that become worth nothing because they actually are making this knife again. But it's the unicorn, it's the Scientist, it's 2 layers, it's got the Phillips screwdriver and a 91mm format, and it does exactly what I would want it to do. So thanks, Rebel. Thank you for staying to the end of this video. If you did, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Make corrections like you did in the last one. Thanks again for correcting my Yeoman mispronunciation, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you, and take care.